name is David too, and in this video I'm going to show you how to connect your LXI enabled instrument into a Wi-Fi enabled instrument. In order to do that, I actually am going to use this little inexpensive travel router which allows me to connect to Wi-Fi networks. And this is one really nice benefit about these routers is that it actually is powered through USB, so you can actually connect your router to the rear of your LXI instrument, like my 34972 here, and power up this router. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. So once you powered up your router, there's actually two different modes that you can configure your router to be in order to connect to a Wi-Fi network. The first mode that we're going to configure is called AP mode. So that's access point mode. And in access point mode, that's kind of like a direct connection between your PC and your instrument, except without a wire. So it's a one-to-one connection. So here we're going to just set up our router on the PC and show you how to connect it to access point mode.
Now I've connected my router to my PC with an Ethernet cable, and I'm just going to configure my router for that AP mode. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a command window and type in ipconfig to get my gateway, which will be the IP address of the router. So that's going to be 192.168.0.254, and I found that under the local area connection. So let's type that in. And it's going to ask me for some credentials, so I'm going to type in the password and username, which is admin and admin in my case. So now that I've brought up the web server for this TP-Link router, I'm just going to go to this working mode link and make sure that it's under this AP access point mode selection, which it actually defaults to. And then another thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change my addressing type from DHCP to a static IP. So the static IP will actually allow our LXI instrument to connect to the same address and not throw errors every once in a while. And then the last thing I'm just going to check is this under this DHCP tab. I just want to make sure that the DHCP server is still enabled, which it is. So that's all that I really need to do here, and I can then save everything. Oops, looks like I didn't save from last time, so let's go ahead and set this to static IP. Press save, then OK, and then that'll reboot the router.
Now that I've configured my router, I'm going to disconnect it from my PC and connect it to the back Ethernet port of my 34972. After doing that, I'm going to give it a moment so that it will actually get an IP address from my router. So let's just check if it's there yet. So I'm going to press Shift, Interface, and just press that LAN interface button for a while. It hasn't gotten the IP address yet because it says LXI fault. So I'm just going to give it a couple moments. And just try to do it again. LAN interface, says connected now. And now I've got this IP address, which is 192.168.0.101, at which point I can actually now connect to my 34972 with a direct connection to my wireless laptop now. So I'm going to go to the PC now.
On my PC now, I wanted to connect to my 34972 and my router wirelessly. So all I'm going to do is open up my wireless settings and connect to the SSID for that wireless router, which happens to be TP-Link_F87374. That'll change for your own router. And once I do that, I just have to type in the IP address of the 34972, which is 192.168.0.101. And that brings up my web server that is on the 34972. So now I've got connections to my 972 LXI instrument wirelessly, and now I can roam around and go take my laptop anywhere and still connect to my 972.
So one of the limitations of access point mode is that you're limited by the transmission power of this travel router. So if you want to have more distance, you can actually configure your setup into a mode called client mode. And in client mode, you can actually have access to your internet and other devices as well as connect to your LXI instrument. So let's go ahead and configure our router into client mode again. So let's first disconnect our Ethernet cable from the router and connect it to our laptop.
Now back on the PC, I want to go back to the router's configuration page. So I'm going to open up a web browser and go back to the IP address of the router. So once I'm in here, I just have to change the working mode for this router, and that was AP mode, which we just used, and we're actually going to change that over to client mode. So I'm going to save that, and that will actually reboot the router, and it's actually going to take a couple minutes. I'm just going to skip to the next section. Now that my router has rebooted, I'm just going to go over to this wireless settings, and I need to enter in the SSID of the internet router that I want to connect to. So I'm actually going to press the survey button and connect to the Netgear router. So on the Netgear router, I've got a simple password setup that I made safe for YouTube to view, and just enter that in, and that'll allow my travel router to access my internet through my Netgear router. So I'm just going to reboot that.
Now that I've configured my router for client mode, let's go ahead and disconnect it from the PC and connect it to my 34972. This time I'm going to give it about 30 seconds before I check for the IP address. So I've done my wait, and I'm going to press the interface button, and it says connected now, and DHCP is enabled. So now my address is 192.168.0.8, which is an IP address that was given to me by my internet router.
On my PC now, I need to connect to the same network that my 34972 is connected to, which is actually Netgear, if you'll remember. So I'm going to connect to Netgear. And I will now type in the new address, which is 192.168.0.8. And again, you can see that I have access to my 34972, but now I also have access to the internet. So I can do that by checking that out by going to Keysight.com and loading up that web page.
All right, so that's really all there is to configuring your router to make your LXI instrument into a wireless instrument. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our video, and thanks for watching.